Do you want to learn English but feel stuck? Let me tell you a real story of a man named Carlos. He lived in a small town in South America. Carlos was kind, hardworking, and full of dreams, but he had one big problem. He didn't know English. Every time he heard someone speak English, he felt small. He didn't understand a single word. He wanted to get a better job. He wanted to travel. He wanted to grow, but without English, he felt lost. He applied for a job in a company that worked with Americans. On the day of the interview, he was very nervous. The manager asked, "Can you speak English?" Carlos froze. His hands shook. His mind went blank. He said, quietly, "No, sir, I can't." The manager smiled politely and said, "We'll call you." Carlos knew they never would. He went home that day and cried, but he didn't give up. That evening, he stood in front of the mirror and said, "I will learn English." That was the start of his journey. The next morning, Carlos downloaded a free English app. He didn't know where to begin, but he started anyway. He began with simple words. Hello, thank you, good morning. He repeated each word 5 times. He recorded his own voice and listened again and again. He watched short videos on YouTube, but he didn't stop. He would pause the video, rewind it, and write down each sentence. He also found an old notebook. On the first page he wrote, "My English life starts today." Carlos made a daily plan, just 20 minutes a day. He would read 1 paragraph, listen to 1 short audio, and speak 1 sentence loudly in front of the mirror. He felt silly at first, but then he laughed and said, "I don't care, I want to grow." He made flashcards with simple words. At work, during lunch breaks, he would open his phone and review vocabulary. People laughed at him sometimes, but he smiled and kept going. He used English to label things in his room: table, mirror, door, shoes. Every day, he added just 5 new words to his world. It was slow, very slow, but it was real progress, and progress gave him hope. After 1 month, Carlos felt a little more confident. He could now understand small sentences, but speaking was still hard. One day, he tried to order coffee in English. He said, "1 black coffee, please." The waiter smiled, friendly. "No problem," he said. Carlos felt proud. It was a small win, but to him it was big. At night, he listened to English podcasts, even though he didn't understand everything. He just kept listening. Over time, some words became familiar. He started thinking in English, just a few words at first. "Where is my book? I am hungry. I will study." But it was a big step. Still, there were bad days. Sometimes he felt tired. Sometimes he said, "Maybe I'll never speak well." But then he remembered why he started. He wanted to grow. He wanted to live a bigger life. So he didn't stop. He joined a local English group online. Every Sunday they had a Zoom meeting. The first time he spoke, his hands shook. He said nervously, "My name is Carlos. I am learning English." People clapped for him. They said, "Good job, Carlos." He smiled. That 1 sentence made him feel like a winner. Step by step, he was changing. After 3 months, Carlos did something brave. He went to a job fair where companies were hiring people who could speak some English. He wore a clean shirt, held his small notebook, and took a deep breath. The first company asked, "Why do you want to work with us?" Carlos answered slowly, "I want to learn. I want to grow. I try every day. I will not give up." His English wasn't perfect, but his heart was clear. The manager smiled. "We like your attitude," he said. Carlos got his first second interview. He practiced for it every night. He wrote answers, recorded himself, and corrected his mistakes. He watched videos of people giving interviews in English. He repeated their words. He stood in front of the mirror and said, "I can do this. I can speak English." On the day of the interview, he was nervous, but ready. The manager asked, "Can you speak English?" Carlos said, "Yes, I am still learning, but I practice every day." The manager laughed. "That's all we need." Carlos got the job. He walked home slowly that day. Tears filled his eyes. He whispered, "I did it. I really did it." It was not the end of his journey. It was just the beginning. Carlos started working in a new company. At first, he only did small tasks, but he listened to everyone carefully. He kept a notebook in his pocket. Every time he heard a new word, he wrote it down. During breaks, he searched for meanings on his phone. Then he used the new words in small sentences. He said things like, "I complete the task," or "Thank you for your help." Little by little, people started noticing his effort. One of his co-workers said, "Carlos, your English is getting better." He smiled and said, "I am trying." Soon he was helping customers who spoke English. At first it was hard. He made mistakes. But every mistake taught him something. He kept a journal of what went right and what went wrong every day. He listened more than he spoke. And he always asked questions like, "How do you say this? What is the right word?" People were kind. They helped him. His boss gave him more responsibility. He had to write emails and attend short meetings. Carlos took each challenge as a gift. At home, he still practiced 20 minutes every day. He watched movies with subtitles. He read simple English books. He even started writing short messages to his friends in English. Carlos was no longer just a learner. He was now a user of English. 1 year passed. Carlos could now hold a conversation in English. He could write full emails. He even helped translate for others at work. He was still learning. But now English was no longer scary. It was his friend. Carlos travelled to another country for a training program. For the first time, he gave a small presentation in English. He stood in front of 20 people and said, "My name is Carlos. I learned English because I believed I could." The room clapped. After the session, someone asked him, "How did you do it?" Carlos smiled and said, "I failed. I cried, but I never stopped. 1 word a day, 1 sentence a night. That's how I did it." Now Carlos teaches other beginners online. He says, "If I can do it, so can you." He reminds everyone, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be brave. Carlos is not special. He is not a genius. He is just someone who decided to start and never gave up. So if you're watching this and you feel nervous about English, remember, you don't have to know everything today. Just start. 1 word at a time. 1 sentence at a time. You can learn English, just like Carlos did.